Not everyone has the same 24 hours.
Yeah.
Your smallest actions contribute to everything.
The thing is that, no one's going to come save us. Like, so we have to be the ones to take action.
All right, everybody. Welcome back on another episode of the Success in South Florida podcast. I'm your host, Adam Rossin, and I'm so excited to have you guys on today. Today, we have Amanda and Legend from 300 Letters. Really, I know we've been talking about this for maybe a month or two, but we have we're filming on a Friday. We have an amazing Friday here today planned to really dive deep into you guys, your story, and then you're going to be talking to our interns live not live on the show, but live in our office.
Yeah.
So Amanda, Legend, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, of course. And I don't like giving a big grand introduction. I just kind of like getting into this because really we're talking about you guys and your backgrounds, your story. You guys have an amazing story to tell. So let's just kind of jump right into it. Okay. The podcast is Success in South Florida. You guys are doing some amazing, cool things down here, but let's kind of go back to the superhero origin stories. So, Legend, you were saying earlier, you're third generation Cuban, Cuban American. So you were born here?
Born here. My grandma is the one who made the trip down here. And my mom,
Cuba.
Yeah. My mom grew up in, Miami, Little Havana, Alapata, and so did I. And so now we have our young ones, so they're fourth generation Cubans.
Okay, so you basically, grew up here down here. Amanda, were you born here as well?
I was born in Cali. I'm a Cali girl. My parents met in California, and then my mom and dad, they broke up at birth. So at my birth, so she came to Miami, and then that made me a Miami girl too. So I grew up basically between here and the West Coast.
Okay,
and
where in Miami?
In Miami, I would say South Miami. A little bit of everywhere. Miami Lakes, I went to elementary. Doral, I went to elementary. South Miami, I went to middle school. Palmetto Bay, back to South Miami for high. You guys don't want to
that's Miami through and through, a whole tour. You got the whole tour. Okay. So let's fast forward to, really the story behind you guys and the inspiration for 300 Letters. Okay. So, here we are. Then you guys have been together about 13 years.
Yeah.
Right. So let's, talk to us, right? What's going on back in the day and how did we get here?
Wow. I think that's Legend's best part of our story.
I mean, it's so much, that led to where we are today. But, I guess a little bit of background. Like I said, I grew up here, born and raised in Miami. My mom was a single mother. I am the oldest of 3 siblings. So I got, a younger sister, younger brother. And, around the age of 13, I decided, I'm the man of the house now. I have to start taking care of things financially. And,
responsibility for a 13-year-old.
Exactly. Like
that's middle school.
Huh?
That's middle school.
Yeah, exactly. So in middle school, actually, my first job, I had to get out of school at 4:00, and then some lady in a van would come pick me up. It sounds sketchy. Some lady in a van would come pick up me and 2 other kids, and she had a bunch of kids from some local middle schools, and she would take us to places like Kendall and stuff like that, and we had a big box of chocolate, and we'd just try to sell a box of chocolate for 5 hours every night. I wouldn't get home till 8:30, 9 o'clock every night. That was my first job, trying to sell chocolates for this lady, and we had the spill so we were telling people that we were selling chocolates to raise money for this trip that we never took. She paid us though. I mean, I got paid. I used to leave, I guess, with $100 a week or something, which was a lot, to me at the time.
Well,
I could buy some shoes, I could buy things. My mom used to ask me for money for rent sometimes here and there to spot her and whatever. That's how it kind of started, right? So I was always used to just kind of making it happen, hustling, trying to just have my own. And, life growing on, I was in Coral Gables. I had that job. I was leaving from school, going to Albon Pond, which is a Panera Bread kind of place. So I'm making sandwiches there. And, my manager at the time, he was I don't know, he used to smoke weed and stuff like that. And one day I'm smoking with him or whatever, and I need some, I don't know, the idea came in my head to start selling weed. He actually took me to
how old are you at this point?
At this point, I'm 15, 16, whatever. And he actually took me to the guy who sold me my first, weed, whatever. I was scared. I was scared of my mind. But, I don't know, man. And, it started off as something that was like a side hustle, but, I went through life. I graduated high school. I went to college, and, along the way, college and stuff kind of became my side hustle to this. You know, it got out of hand really quickly, actually. And, but it was just something I was used to. I was already paying the rent completely for my household at the time. And, you know, my mom did everything she could, but it just wasn't enough, bro, you know, and I just did what I had to do or what I felt like I had to do. So, I mean, that's how.
Let me stop you for a second. So, like, the
Sure.
movies, you know, glamorize, and everybody can see the TV shows, the movies, whether it's Blow or, you know, or any of them, right? It's even, I was talking the other day about, remember that show on Showtime, like 20 years ago, Weeds, where the suburban housewife starts slanging weed to like kids' soccer matches. And then, of course, it turns into like she becomes like a big time dealer, mobster kind of thing. But, you know, it's glamorized. Like Breaking
Bad.
Yeah, Breaking Bad. Everything. And they glamorize it. But at the end of the day, you know, I've been able, the great thing about me having this podcast, I've been able to talk to so many cool, successful people, but some have come from nothing. Some have, you know, had very, you know, a lot of help along the way and been very fortunate. But here we are, we're talking about a 13-year-old. Now, look, I remember when I was 13, I did stupid shit too. I mean, I sold a little bit of weed when I was like 15, got kicked out of high school for that, but I certainly wasn't doing it like, you know, big level stuff. It was more just being a kid, stupid kid.
Young, yeah.
Right. You know, making little mistakes here and there, but I never had a job because going to school, I was lucky. We're going to school and I was a pretty good basketball player. Those were my jobs. I didn't get a job till I was 17, but I wanted to get a job because I wanted to make money, not because I had to. I went to college and had scholarships, and my parents were like, well, we'll take care of all the necessities. They're like, if you want money to party, that's on you. So I always like to work too.
And that's how we raise our kids now. Like our oldest is going to his junior year. His job is his wrestling, you know, school, taking his college courses like right now while he's going to his junior year in the summer. And like, we want them to focus and live in that creation mindset. Whereas so we weren't raised that way. We were raised in that survival mode where we had to help, we had to add value in some way. You know, I grew up in a very unstable environment where it was back and forth my entire life. I felt like a guest every time I went to my mom's or my dad's because I had to start over from scratch. So yeah, it's just different upbringings, different paths, you know, and that's what we like to just shed light on all the time. Not everyone has the same 24 hours.
Yeah. And so like you said, even you indulge in selling a little bit of weed at some point, right? But you had that slap on the wrist and you had that wake up call and you were able to, you know, get it correct. As in my case, I didn't really have that, you know, that slap on the wrist or
like
that,
you're doing the right thing.
That comfort that could, that I knew like, hey, I could just not do this anymore. Like, you know what I mean? It was kind of like.
What do you mean? You mean because you were so successful at it, then all of a sudden now rent's getting paid and people have things. So now, right, it got reinforced.
Exactly.
And now that you kind of depend on it, like if I were to stop, I wouldn't know where to help anybody, you know?
And see, my punishment was getting kicked out of one of the most elite, wealthy private schools in South Florida. Okay. You know,
it was pretty quick punishment.
Right. Well, but it was just one of those things where you know, look, everybody has their own circumstances. So I had to internalize it and say, Adam, you know, like just, you got to make better choices. Just don't be stupid and immature. Right. But for you, you probably had the weight of the family and the weight of the world on your shoulders in such a young age.
Yeah. And I did have some enablers also too, you know, like now that I look back on it and I see, I never had a father figure to tell me, yo, like, what the are you doing? You know, like, anybody to rectify this kind of thing. It was just kind of me doing what I thought was best at the age of, you know, 15, 16, 17.
At 15 knows what they're doing. We think we do. Teenagers think they know. They think they have all the answers. And then you have, you know, where everyone's benefiting off of this too, because it's helping. It's not even a benefit. It's like you're actually being able to survive, be a little bit more comfortable now in your home. So it's like it's needed. Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that I was going to school and still making it to college, I graduated FIU with a bachelor's. Like the whole time I'm thinking, man, I got this under control. Like it's going to work out. Like as soon as I get my bachelor's, I'm going to get like a real job and, you know, I'll get into the workforce and stuff like that. And a month after I got my bachelor's, we got a federal indictment. Mind you, I met, Amanda maybe 2 years before that. And again, like when I met her, she was in her survival mode, like in a different stage. She had a young, you know, her oldest, which was 3 years old at the time when I met him. And, she was a surgical assistant and she worked crazy hours all the time. And, you know, like she used to just come to my house after her work. She worked so hard at a young age also, you know?
Yeah.
So like it was all that we knew, like just trying to make it here in Miami, you know?
Right. And we have a lot of people that are on the outside working in a professional setting, surgical assistant, right? You know, whether it's a doctor's office, being a legal assistant, working in maybe a med spa. There's been situations where legal assistants at the state attorney's office and the public defender's office have been living dual lives in a way. You know, here you are, college graduate, right? You know, were you the first college graduate in your family?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Major, massive accomplishment, but yet there's the duality a little bit. And you know, it's hard because on the outside you look like maybe you have it together. I'm showing up to my professional job. You know, it's not different than, you know, working like fast food or in a restaurant, right? You know, you can make great money working in a restaurant. I put myself, you know, through restaurants in college, but being in a professional environment is different. But then knowing that, hey, maybe, you know, the home life is not so stable or certain things.
Yeah. And I think like for me, I was just so young. I got pregnant so young. I was a senior in high school and my vision for my future was always clear. Like I knew I wanted to be successful. Like I knew I wanted to provide my family. I knew I wanted kids. I knew I wanted to be with my soulmate and I knew I wanted to have a comfortable life. I wanted to be a professional woman. And so as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was like, well, I have to figure out things quickly. I just can't have any job. I need to have a career. And that's where I was at that age. So by 22, I had already been a medical assistant, a esthetician, a licensed esthetician, a laser technician, electrologist, like you name it. In the beauty field, I wanted my med spa. And so when we met at 22, I was making good money. I was on that trajectory, but I was a single mom living in an apartment alone. And I had gone through so much before that age. So when we met and we were both like in this space of like, we were working towards a bright future, successful future, but our journeys were just so completely different. They kind of just meshed, right? Because it was just, I think a space in our lives where we were just figuring it out. But
we're just going to help each other. Like we're going through this journey, but we're going to do it together. We're going to get to where we know we want to be together.
Exactly.
But my path was still selling drugs. And so pretty much I kind of got her involved into it because I asked her to send some money for me through Western Union, which I thought was something that, hey, don't worry, babe. Like, you won't get in trouble for this. Like, don't worry. If anything, it's still going to be me. Right. And it turned out, of course, not at the end of the day.
So in my lunch break, yeah, we have the Fed. In my lunch break at work, literally, I worked my ass off all day. At lunch break, I had a wad of cash on me and, I have to send this to Western Union to this person. Let me go really quick to Publix next to my job and send it, completely oblivious to, even the actions. And that's something that we talk about and we teach all the time in our coaching and our therapy, everything. That's self-awareness, that understanding of your smallest actions contribute to everything. And so that little action led me to a federal indictment. Like, that's crazy, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because and I have this conversation with so many girls, so many people, so many families, so many women, and they're like, I would have been in prison a long time ago. Like, had I...
Many times,
yeah.
Well, and when we're talking about the federal criminal justice system, because with our interns, we're actually book clubbing a book. We do it every summer. It's a book written by a federal judge, Judge Jed Rakoff, who's out of the Southern District of New York. And he tends to skew a little more on the liberal side, which is very rare for federal judges. And it's why the innocent plead guilty and why the guilty go free. That's the name of the book. And it's a harsh rebuke on the criminal justice system, especially the federal criminal justice system, because when the feds, when they have you in their sights, it's very difficult to get out of it. And
it's almost impossible.
Nowadays, right? And nowadays, it's so easy to turn anything into federal, right? Western Union. Okay, well, now we're talking, right? Crossing state lines, whether it's telephone, whether it's internet, everything we do, you make one phone call, gets routed through a certain, through the routing system. Well, boom. If the feds want it, they got it. Take it. There was even, maybe 2021, 2022, a little bit, towards the tail end of COVID, since federal prosecutions were down, they started just cherry picking a bunch of state gun cases, firearm by convicted felon cases, because they could, and they picked and cherry picked them as easy cases that they could turn federal. And why did they do it? Honestly, it was for numbers and revenue and politics.
Of course, politics.
And, they're like, well, our
quotas
down. We got to get our numbers up. Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny because I remember when I was incarcerated, like everybody knew like the common consensus was if you had a gun, you were gonna do like 5 years minimum, and so that was like for sure is gonna be a federal case. But they were probably justified in this because the money that we were sending was going to China. So yeah, that probably were right for doing this.
MDMA, which is Molly, was a new drug at the time.
No, and so it wasn't MDMA.
It wasn't MDMA.
It wasn't MDMA. So it was something. It was like another, like a knockoff. Yeah, synthetic.
Yeah.
Which I was under the guise that if it were to get caught doing this, that it would get thrown out of court because it's technically not MDMA. But apparently as soon as we got in trouble with it, they had changed that law maybe months before that, and they just put everything on the umbrella under controlled substances or whatever. So yeah, the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking like, don't worry, if anything happens, we won't get in trouble anyways. And then, yeah, of course we did. Right. But,
and of course me thinking as a woman and a girl in Miami and a party scene in college, like everyone's taking ecstasy, everyone's doing Molly. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that led to incarceration. And of course, the incarceration was a long story also too. Oh, yeah. But, in turn, we grew and we learned these lessons, and we decided that we wanted to help people that were going through the same situations as us, people that were, made a mistake and want to come back and still have a regular life and still want to thrive and still want to be successful. So, that's how we created.
Well, and so before we get into the kind of the after, which I think is so impactful, the fact that you two even made it through to get to this after, there's a story here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because, Amanda, I'm sure you weren't very happy with Legend and different things, but how did that work out, right? Where, you guys are both going to prison. You're both indicted. This is things that tear relationships apart.
Mm-hmm. And it could have, a month before I had to self-surrender, our oldest son, Dorian, his biological father passed away. So now I'm going into prison. He's going, my family doesn't know about what's going on with me. I'm completely ashamed. And not only that, but I was very like, I was in disbelief. I didn't think I was actually going to go to prison. I thought something was going to change along the way, that there's no way a first-time offender, someone that's never been in trouble in her life, doesn't even have a red light, like a speeding ticket, is going to prison. I couldn't process that in my young mind. And so, so many things were going on. And when I get to prison, because I got indicted first, because I didn't, when they approached me about the whole situation. I'm like, that's your job. You guys do your own job. I don't have anything to say.
You didn't rat out.
I didn't. Exactly.
I didn't rat out your boyfriend.
I didn't rat out my boyfriend. I didn't cooperate. And also, just because that's how I am, like, that's your character. Like, that's your job. You guys do your job. That's not my business. But then I had no idea that could turn, that can incriminalize me. So we went through so many emotions. But I had to go to prison first. And when I get to prison, 2 weeks later, I went first.
What was your sentence? How long?
24 months.
Okay.
24 months, 2 years.
I
had a lawyer.
Under a private
lawyer? No, we had a private attorney. And I got 2 years. And 2 weeks into my sentence, I find out I'm pregnant with little Legend. And that was a whole other thing. But when I get there, I'm going through a lot of emotions. Guilt for leaving my son behind. He has no parents. My parents are not speaking to me. They're super upset. They're not supportive. They're not present in the life of my oldest. They don't know. They just had their own way of dealing with things. And as that I'm older, I kind of don't understand it, but can understand that everyone processes things differently. And so I'm going through all of this, and of course I have a lot of resentment and I'm upset, but then I also have the empathy for him, and we just always understood each other, because I think the biggest thing in relationships is the friendship first, right? So I saw him also as a young man, just graduated, first one in his family, how supportive he was of me and my son and his family, and just the genuine friendship and love that we had for each other. So even though I had moments of guilt, like of resentment, and I was upset, it always combated because we were always in it together from the beginning. Like, I got your back. I'm going to help you, take care of you. You know, we're going to get through this together. I was always the way he was. And he was a man from the day I met him, true to his word and true to exactly who he is. So his character just shines through in everything that he does. And that's how I am too. So it just worked that way. And
who took care of
his
Dorian?
mom.
So your mom.
His mom took care of Dorian. Thank God.
Now we won't know.
Yeah, she was like, don't worry. I gave her, you know, a temporary guardianship of our son and of my son. Then I find out I'm pregnant. And then that just made us all really tight knit. Like he was like the little seal to the family. And we had the little glue. Yeah. And we had no idea that I was pregnant, you know, going into prison. This is not before we went in, we took our Dorian to Universal Studios. I was riding all the roller coasters. Like, we went all out that weekend to make sure he had a good time before I had to go.
And how old was he at this point?
He was 6.
Okay, so I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So my 5-year-old's turning 6 in 3 weeks.
It's devastating.
And yeah, so how was that?
Oh, I was really bad. I wasn't in a good place. I was bad. I had to speak to him. I had to tell him that nor me, nor his biological father, nor his other dad, that they were like kindred souls from the moment they met. None of us were going to be around for at least 1.5 years. And that was a whole conversation that I didn't even know how to have. I didn't know how to have that conversation with him. It was really, really hard. And it ate me alive every day it was the guilt and when I found out I was pregnant, even more guilt. Like, I was, how am I bringing new life into this world? I'm 25. My oldest son, I'm not even with him. How is this going to happen? It's not going to happen. I didn't even think I was going to be able to have a full-term pregnancy being in that environment. Right. So it was hard.
These are the moments that when you're left alone, when your head hits the pillow at night, when you're brushing your teeth, looking at yourself in the mirror, when you're left
what has
alone
happened?
With your thoughts. And a lot of people, they beat themselves up over it. It's the shame and the guilt. And, you know, and so how did you overcome that?
Let me tell you, my faith, I've always been very spiritual, and I've always had a really, really close relationship to God. And knowing that this was just, you know, that's what was happening at the moment. So I couldn't let my character change in that environment. I knew that I had to still be Amanda. I knew that even though I was in that position, I knew that I couldn't change who I was to my core. And that was just something I always felt with myself. Like, yeah, I'm here now, but this is not who I am. This is just an experience. And this is just something I'm going through right now. Like, at the end, there is going to be light, and I'm not, you know, time is passing. So that thought was always in me. Even when I was in prison, even when I went to the pregnancy program, I always looked around and I said, you guys don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know who I am. Like, you don't know Amanda. And one day you're going to know who Amanda is. And that was just something that was in me from that. And there's letters that I wrote to Legend, and I was like, I'm going to do something about this pregnancy program, this mint program, these people, their power trips, the way that they treat, we're people, we're humans. Like, they don't know Amanda outside, like who Amanda truly is. Like, this is not me. And that thought always was in me. So that helped me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the determination, the intestinal fortitude, the long-term thinking.
The long-term thinking, yeah.
I'm not going to let you put me down, right? And I'm going to bounce back.
But not everyone has that, you know? And that's just something.
3 of us have it.
Exactly.
But exactly. A lot of my clients don't have it. A
lot of our families don't have that. And of course not. Like, how, you know, that's not something. So that's something we build. That's something we try to work on. That's something that we build, and it's embedded into the work of 300 letters, like how to get out of that mindset, you know, your perception of things and experiences and people. That's very important.
Right. So, okay, so you have 2 years. I'm assuming you get out a little early, halfway house, right? Reintegrate. And Legend, when did you go in, and how long was that for?
I went in like a couple months after her, and I got sentenced to 47 months. I did the RDAP program while I was in there. Are you familiar with that? It's like a little drug program.
Right, yeah.
They take off a year off your sentence, and then again, good time and stuff. I came out to like a little more than 2.5 years.
Okay.
20, yeah.
All right. And so you guys are both out now, and the, you know, the kind of the idea behind 300 letters, whether you had it named or not, is starting when you're in prison, when you're going.
It's starting there, not even knowing, not even knowing what it is, not knowing anything about the nonprofit sector, not understanding anything, just the internal, like.
Well, it was crazy to see. We went back and started reading some of our old letters, and then you could see like her talking about like, oh, I'm gonna do something. I don't know what it is yet, but we're gonna do something with the story. This didn't happen for nothing, and like so, it was there subconsciously, but we didn't know what it was gonna be. I didn't think in a million years it would be a nonprofit organization, but we just knew that we were gonna like do something to kind of change the way that things were going, you know? Yeah,
and it took a lot though, because when we get home, you know, Legend graduated from FIU, right? He has his bachelor's, but he hadn't had he didn't know what his career was going to look like. For me, I get home and now I'm a single mom of 2. And that was a whole other experience. So now we're like in that phase of like rebuilding, trying to figure out how we're going to do this together. You know, he has his own path. I have my own path, but we're merging and we're a whole family.
In a way, you guys kind of start dating again in a way, right? I mean, the friendship, 100%. But like, hey, I hadn't seen you in a while. Okay.
What are we doing?
Right.
Now you have 2 kids. He met LJ when LJ was 3 months. I got to be with LJ for 3 months. Then my mother-in-law had to pick him up for me from the program in Tallahassee, take me back to the prison, drop me off, and take my 3-month-old with her. So I get back home. He's 7 months. My oldest is now 9, turning 9. And it was a lot. It was a lot.
By the time I got home, Legend was already like a year and a half.
Oh yeah. Yep. So I'm taking him.
That's bonding. Like, I mean, look, I'm a dad of 2. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Like, my boys are everything, and we wrestle, we play, and you know, it just, I mean, yeah, but that's gotta be hard.
Horrible. Yeah. So I met him when he was 3 months old, and in the visiting room, you know. And I'm just like, well, this is my kid, you know, it's crazy.
This little blob, you know, right? You're like, hey, like, especially guys, like, we bond by playing, right? You know, women is a little different when they're growing inside of you.
He was like, can I give him chocolate?
I give him like a little piece of Reese's and like, he's gonna eat it.
No. Right. And you're like, hey, we can't play catch. We can't wrestle yet. Like,
and our son has big green eyes. He's blonde. It's just the funniest thing to see him, because he's like, who is this little guy? He's
sure. So you want to tell him? Right?
I told her, yo, man, it's not time to study right now. Son, you need to tell me. Let me know right now. No, but he's funny because he's like super white, but he has like black features. So like he looked like T.I. in the face when like his baby pictures. He changed so much, because then he went to like this phase where he looked like Donald Trump a little bit.
Okay. Our little one looked like Donald Trump. We would comb his hair back and dress him up, and I got pictures too.
You gotta show.
Oh man, but yeah, that's definitely my kid, man. You know. He's just a little me, you know? And I remember when I was in prison, one of my bunkies, he told me like, yo, he's like, you don't get it now, but like when you get home, you're going to completely change, bro. Like watch when you see a person that is literally like you, like a little you, like it's going to change you. And I didn't get it at the time until when I got home. It did.
It was hard though when you got home. That was probably our worst. The first 2 years were the most difficult for us, because I think, you know, Legend, he was so focused on the financial providing, the leadership aspect of his life and himself and of our family. And me, it was like I was an emotional mess, like the postpartum, leaving our kids, then having to come back home. I was fortunate enough to start working with the surgeon I worked for prior. He was like, you have your job here, you know, your place is here. I'm cleaning out your office as soon as you get here. And that's how I was blessed enough in that aspect. But emotionally and mentally, I couldn't even understand what I just went through. And then how I just got home and I was just like, oh, here are your kids. You need a job. You need to start paying everything again. I never even had time to process.
It's like a blip.
It was like, what?
She went right back to where she was.
Right back to where I was after all that time with a new baby now. And just, there you go. Now you're thrown, like, here's society, here's your life back again. And I couldn't understand. It took so much of an emotional toll on me. I used to cry every day, like question the experience. Why did this happen? What's going on? How, I wasn't happy because I felt like there were so many parts of myself that I had to hide. People were asking me, where were you? Where were you all that time?
More shame, more guilt.
More shame, guilt. It was constant tears and frustration. And then he was the opposite, where he doesn't show his emotions. And a lot of men I don't think do. They handle it in a different way. So he's not handling, he's not showing his emotions. And I'm like, what's going on? But he's so focused on his career and what he's going to do. And I'm just like in shambles. So it was hard for us to even communicate or relate to each other during that time. And that's when, when we kind of started realizing like we need to have these conversations. I couldn't keep suppressing that part of me that kept saying, this is part of your story. You can't just go through life and just throw that behind you. You can't just hide things. And that started to come up in everything that we did.
The Success in South Florida podcast is brought to you by the team at Rawson Law Firm. If you need DUI or criminal defense representation, call the Rawson Law Firm at 754-206-6200 or check the description of today's episode for more contact information. The Rawson Law Firm, helping good people when bad things happen so they can achieve their best futures.
And taking something that was so traumatic, but turning it into a positive. I mean, it is a little cliche, but this is what the world needs, and this is what you needed as people and as a family unit, and it's something that the world and our community needs. So if you guys are, struggling to kind of reintegrate, figure out life, babies, kids, yourselves, each other, how did it go from just kind of an idea to an actual, nonprofit, a movement, and things that, and we're obviously going to talk about the amazing stuff that you do, because so many people have the ideas and never take the action behind.
Execute, yeah.
Okay.
But really, everything just started coming to fruition the moment we told our story. So like, it was around the time of COVID, around COVID
right
time.
Before COVID,
2019. I put my first post on Instagram about what actually happened, where I came from. Well, mind you, this time I'm already like a very known trainer in my gym at Legacy, and I have hundreds of people that come to my class and love me and adore me, but they have no idea that I did time in prison. So I don't know what came over me that day. I decided to just be open about it, and when I did that, the response was amazing. They all encouraged me because they already love me,
right.
and everybody,
they know you, and they're not here to judge you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's their instructor. He's their leader. He's the one training them every day. And they're like, they loved you.
Yeah. So
you have a sense of freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was just a huge sense of freedom just to let the truth, about what happened with me and, all the things that I felt and what I learned from it and everything. So that first post, one of the people who responded, at the time she was working for Univision. She was like big into the media, and she told us about, she told me about, what is it? Chance Zuckerberg Initiative.
Yeah. Fellowship.
Yeah. And, she wanted me to try to do it. And I was like, there's no way. I don't have any bandwidth to do that right now, because I was working like 10, 12-hour days, which I still kind of am. But, I'm
very much so.
Yeah. But I was like, but this would be perfect for my wife. This woman can do anything she puts her head around. I've seen it. She has probably like every single license I know.
Have you guys seen The Wrong Missy?
No.
She has a license in literally everything you're talking about.
So like The Wrong Missy, someone passes out. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It's a comedy. And she'll get this, don't worry, I am CPR certified. She gives them CPR. Yeah. And then someone's having a breakdown. I'm a counselor. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I can help you get through this. And then someone else has a gash on their arm. I'm a nurse. Yeah. I will close it up.
Yeah, she really does everything. So
that can do anything. Swiss Army.
So I'm like, listen, I can't do this, but I know for sure she could do it. And she applied for it, and
so they chose. It was a fellowship, a social criminal justice fellowship from the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, and they were picking a journalist in Florida, California, Nevada. You had to have a background. You had to have a felony. So I was like, whoa, this is so crazy. And it was a chance to work at Univision as an intern, right? As an intern. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it was first a fellowship program. And and you work as a criminal justice journalist, and they teach you everything, how the beginning of journalism all through and through. But then COVID hit, so I was still doing it. I was part of the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, did the fellowship, started reporting on amazing stories, learning about organizations all around the country. My thing always from the beginning was, I wish I had someone to speak to when I came home. There was no reentry support. Nothing existed. I was at the halfway house at Riverside. They were super rude, just like the experience I had at the Mint program in Tallahassee, where they didn't care about you emotionally. You were just a number. You were just under their care. Most of the people working there are not qualified, nor have any trauma-informed experience, mental health counselor. They don't know about incarceration at all. These are the people that are running these facilities. And so when I started really working in the journalism, they even hired me for an extended year, and it was amazing. But I learned that there was such a gap in these organizations because they were only helping the individual that was impacted by incarceration. And for us, it was always about family. It was always about our kids, each other, our support system, the people that went to visit us, our friends, the caregivers, the people that were around us. And
your mom probably helped.
She's the inspiration behind 300 Heroes, literally her. And I remember talking to all the executive directors of organizations, the founders, and always saying the consistency. It was always helping the individual, but the individual would express to me the concerns about their kids, about how worried they felt about their children. They haven't been able to speak to them. Their children are not doing well in school. Right. And I would have these interviews with so many of the participants and giving them the platform of Univision, because they had an initiative called La Segunda Oportunidad. And you can talk about stories of people that had a second chance coming back home. And so that's really where I was like, wow, and I sat there with Legend and we wrote down everything that we needed coming home. Like, what did we need? I was like, I wish I had someone to coach me through my emotions, to speak to. I wish I had access to healing, but people that understand, people that actually went through incarceration or had the lived experience in their family. And at that time, when I got home, I was a single mom, now paying the bills, childcare, daycare. It was so hectic. Like, who could help in this sense? Who can help with that?
And I think when you're probably counting down the days until you can get home, and then you get home and it's all hits you at once. Right? You're like, oh my God, this is harder and worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And that's why they say when reentry starts while you're incarcerated, it does. But if you don't have, none of our prisons, none of our jails, prisons, state prisons or federal are equipped to help a person that's incarcerated plan for their future, nor do they care. Right. My counselor didn't care about any of the questions I had. He was like, you're crying? You could go to the bathroom and cry. I remember he told me that when I was pregnant, and I was like, okay, like, let me get it together. But they do not care, nor is the system built to even care. You do your time. They don't address any of the mental health, that you're going through while you're there. Any of the concerns that you have for your family, it's all fake for them. Mm-hmm. They don't care. You're there. It's checking off boxes. Literally that. So I think that's really where it started.
Yeah, that's where we started to like identify like the need that our community that we wanted to build needed from us. And so like trying to find that community was, all right, let's share our story. Obviously, that's where we got our first power from. Let's share our story and let's empower people who's going through this, right? So we just like, let's make some t-shirts.
It was never a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's going to start with like a t-shirt. Let's just sell some t-shirts. I'll sell it to people at the gym. People will like this. It could go viral, whatever. And we made the first shirt that said, fell on, never fell off. Right, so it's power people. Yeah,
he's so good. Yeah. If you guys need any jingles,
that's good.
I'm getting the marketing stuff.
All right,
he's so good.
We got our team. We got room for more.
Let's do it. So it started off as a shirt, and then the shirt was dope. We sold it to everybody, sold out,
and it was more like now we want to do like a clothing line to empower people that have gone through something difficult, adversity. Empower people that have gone through something that they're ashamed to talk about. And that's how it started.
Yeah, I wanted to make it kind of open as much as I could.
Yeah.
But then when we did that, we were just like, yeah, this is cool, but it's not enough. Like, how are you really doing something actionable, right? So then we just like looked at recidivism and we just broke it down like, all right, the biggest problems that send people back to prison are family problems, financial problems, emotional problems. So what can we do to address all these areas? And then that's where we came up with like the therapy, having family therapy. So you get the family right and get your emotions right. And then what can we do to help these people financially? So let's pay for their childcare while they're in our program. Let's make a whole program so that we could walk them through this, 4 or 5 months. When they come back, we started creating the criteria. What wouldn't somebody
It
necessarily
sounds so
need?
easy, but we worked with a therapist at UM, and she sat down with me for months, and we wanted to make it very comprehensive, very programmed, but that you were part of a community, an extended family that not only understood what your needs were, but that welcomed you. And because it's easy to go get help, or it's easy to go find a therapist, right? And it's easy to go talk to someone, but do they really understand, or did they just study this, right? So the fact that we literally knew what it was like to go through that experience, our response to our community was so different. And then when our therapists, they've all gone through, either one of our therapists, she's been incarcerated. She's gone to prison. She's a licensed psychologist. It's
was
incredible.
she licensed before or after?
After.
Okay. And that could be something that you guys do, where you encourage more people who, get out, when they get out and come through your program, to then go seek that out and seek that degree out, or at least come right back.
Yeah.
Or just be peer counselors also.
Right.
Yeah, so I became a peer support specialist, and it just kind of grew from there, because we kept answering to the demands of our families. And it started with Healing Hearts program, which is a 12 to 16 week comprehensive program where you're going through weekly therapy, bi-weekly coaching, but your life coaching is really to help you not only with practical skills and finding a job and resume building, but really, really understand who you are, build self-esteem, build autonomy, learn these different tools that you never had. You probably didn't even know about, because we're living in survival. You're just doing for the day. How do we plan for our week? How do we plan for our month? How do we plan for our life? What is our vision? And that's just embedded into every single thing that we do at 300 Letters. But also what it was, just answering every single parent. So when we started working with formerly incarcerated parents, they were talking about their caregivers. When we made our workshop inside of the prison, the trauma informed workshop, they were worried about their kids and the mom and their mom and dads that were taking care of the kids, the grandparents and their aunts, and like how they're managing and how their emotions are going. And that's how things really started to expand, because we treat incarceration as a family affair. So we're touching before incarceration, during incarceration, after incarceration. And
that's how we made 300 Heroes. Because the caregivers are the real heroes in the story. At least in our story, if my mom wasn't there, then our family would have been in shambles. Like, who would have taken care of the baby?
I didn't have my parents around.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
the kids would have been with DCF or something.
Right.
Exactly.
State, foster care.
Yeah. And nobody talks about them.
Yeah.
Like nobody, and they don't have anybody to talk to about it either.
They don't have a voice.
Yeah. They have a new responsibility of a young child they have to take care of. My mom was like, 45, something. Let's not talk about her age. She was 50. But she was older. And now she had like a young kid that she had to take care of. She didn't have the money to pay for in the first place. So now we were like, we have to help these people financially. We have to give them a support group. They could talk to peers who are going through the same thing, and they could just come cause they all have the same questions. So let's just figure out the answers together.
Yeah.
Right.
And so as you guys are growing this, and now it becomes a nonprofit, and money drives a lot of this.
Oh,
how do you get financial support from the community, and how are you able to get into the prisons and convince them to let you in so that way you can provide services?
That's the golden goose right here.
It's still, it's still a work in progress. It's still, everything is always still developing. Relationships. You experience our gala. That's something we have to do. It's a constant thing in the nonprofit space. People don't recognize that it is a business, And so, it's free for the people we serve, but it's not free to run. Right. Like our providers, our psychologists, our coaches, everyone they get paid.
Not to mention that we're probably advocating for the hardest group of people
Yes.
that you could advocate for.
Yeah.
People disconnect the moment we say the word incarceration.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. For example, I'm on the board of directors for In Jacob's Shoes, which is a local charity, and we provide shoes, backpacks, and school supplies to, at-risk or children in need. And that's a lot easier to explain and right. And now, of course, they're local. Easier. It's not quite the American Red Cross where there's a disaster and you're watching a football game, you text a little number and then $10 goes, right?
Yeah.
So they have to do their grassroots and everything, but it's still it's a much easier ask for children. Than it is for incarcerated individuals and their families.
Yeah. And so that's why our biggest job is trying to let people see the bigger picture, right? Like how everybody's connected in this and how it affects everyone.
It's the advocacy, it's the awareness, it's the storytelling, it's all those components, we do wellness events. We are able to fundraise through those events because people connect through wellness and food and exercise. So then that's a way to fundraise. But at the end of the day, like Legend said, advocating for our population is so difficult. Because people automatically, they did the crime, they did the time, that's their responsibility, it's their fault, they shouldn't have done that. Humanity is very quick to judge and we're in the human business. That's what we do. We are for the people. Like we're by felons for felons. That's literally us. And so it's very difficult. We're funded by the Miami Foundation. We actually just got their community grant, but these are small grassroots grants. And for like the comprehensive work that we do, we're not fully funded, but we're working on it every day. And then in the prisons we just became partners with Miami-Dade County. We're in the Florida Department of Corrections at Homestead. Our workshop is there. We've been there for almost 2 years. And so those are changes
but these are things that we are starting out of our own pockets. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't really got anybody to fund that. So it's been a lot of our time and energy.
Here, a lot of
Amanda throws in 50 to 60 hours a week into this. I'm throwing 50, 60 hours a week at the job, at my gym, just so I could, keep the finances good at home. But, right now, like, we're not where we should be at, for a mission this important and for all the things that we've put together. Not to knock anybody, but we do so much more than a lot of other organizations who just, raise money just for the name of something and don't really have anything going on. So like right now we're just very much in the building phase. Thank God that I had already like a pretty big community in the gym. So they got us started for like our first year. We raised the money through that, like, through crowdfunding through that. And I don't think we got our first grant till like a year and a half or 2 years after the fact.
Yeah.
So all of it has been just us, like, they mess with 300 letters because they mess with Legend and they mess with Amanda and they know that, we're just real. Like what you see is what you get. And, and everything that we've raised and look at what we've done in just, 3 or 4 years. We've helped over 600 families already. So we're trying to keep this growth exponential. We feel like this has nationwide value. It has global value, but the right eyes haven't seen it yet. So we're just going to keep doing that until the right ones do,
Well, I have some great ideas that we can talk about outside the podcast of people that either ideas and people that I think I can connect you with. So we'll definitely, my brain's spinning right now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And, because it is so important.
Yeah, I mean, we have the highest incarceration rates in the world. 1 in 14 children have experienced parental incarceration. No one talks about the school to prison pipeline. Like, no, these are conversations that have to be had. It's not something we can put on the back burner. It's not something that's happening to them, not us. This is a very, very prevalent issue in our country. It's a silent epidemic of our country. If more children have experienced parental incarceration than children with asthma, like, what are we talking about here? It's so
even locally, like South Florida alone, right? We have 16,000 children that have an incarcerated parent,
and that's like in Miami-Dade.
Yeah, and that's almost enough to fill up the Casella Center. Imagine that. You ever been to a Heat game?
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah,
that's
imagine filling that whole thing up.
That's not even Broward or Palm Beach.
That's just
talking Miami.
Yeah, that's just Dade County. Miami-Dade County.
Florida's the third largest in terms of incarceration rates.
Parental incarceration. Yeah. So we have over 300,000 parents here. And 80% of the women that are incarcerated, they were the primary caregivers to their children. If I tell you how many of the moms that I was incarcerated with were first-time offenders and all of their children were under 17, all of them. And that we connected, all of us, and our friendships grew, and they were some of the most incredible women that I've ever met in my life till this date, because we connected through that trauma, right? We trauma bonded during those moments, but all of us were not there that had anything to do with our children. None of our crimes were related to our children. We were all primary caregivers of our children. So our kids lived with us prior to that. And from one moment to the next, stripped away. Like, that was the only solution for me sending money through Western Union, was to take me away from my child. I think that our society is just obviously doing what it was intended to do, which is punishment, not rehabilitate. It's not look for different avenues for families, and not look at this as a whole person, approach or experience, or humanizing it. It's just one size fits all. That's our criminal justice system.
Right. Well, and when they look at it, okay, so they remove you from society for X amount of time. Mm-hmm. It's only X amount of time. It's only 2 years. It's only
you're gonna go back home,
right? And what's that gonna happen, right? And then this cycle continues and continues. And then when you look at it with the children, it's everybody would look like, if there was the super villain origin story, if you ever watched, right, the Marvel movies, everybody can look and see, and most people feel bad when they realize that the super villain wasn't born that way, but through life and circumstances, a good person turned to making poor choices. And we can watch that when we see it in a movie, but our society, our government, the people in charge don't care enough, or aren't able to really understand about the children.
I think they don't care enough. And I think we need that revolving door. I think our country, look at the prison industrial complex. Like, I think our country thrives off of having more people incarcerated.
Yeah, they're hitting quotas still.
So that's just woven into our country. So the more people incarcerated, it's very beneficial. It's free labor. It's modern day slavery. It's the loophole in the 13th Amendment. So, that just goes deeper into the trauma and into, so many different things going on. But I think that it's just doing exactly what it was intended to do. And people are not going to understand it because it's not something our society is just putting out.
You don't learn about it in school.
You don't learn about it in school. You don't learn about it anywhere. It's not like we have the most incarcerated people in the world, guys, and we only make up 4% of the world population. Where do you see that statistic? Nowhere. You don't learn about that anywhere.
We're just doing what we could, And the idea is keep people home when they do come home. Like when we look at the massive problem, the monstrous problem that we had in front of us, and, there are people that are, changing laws and advocating in that kind of way and protesting for different things. And we're just like, listen, let's just focus on the people that do come home, and let's make sure that we could keep them home and we could break that cycle from there. And we might not see the effects at large right now, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, for the people that's in our community, we know that we made that difference and that they made the same decision that we did to break the cycle.
Right. And you are making a massive difference, and it will continue to snowball. I'm 100% convinced.
Oh, if you see the changes, the transformations in our families, just as people, just the mindsets, the education, because we educate in everything that we do too. So when we're sharing the statistics, the realities of incarceration with our caregivers, with our parents, with our moms and dads, better. You also are more aware. More information, you're more aware of your decisions, right? And how you're going to proceed, how you're going to go forward. And that's what we do. We empower, we educate, and we provide a safe space for you to really heal together as one with your extended family, with therapists and coaches that understand you. And that's the biggest, that's probably the most important thing to someone coming home and living under that felon umbrella, right. And now having, like you said, that scarlet A on you forever, like that, being sane and being human again. Like that's what we can offer.
Right. And it's such a powerful message. And again, it's a credit to you guys, but and it's a credit to the people that you've helped and the people that you brought in. And even though from a big, global perspective, right, there's still a lot of stigma to this when all it takes is one person to come in as the first therapist. All it takes then is one more person and one more person and just kind of snowballing. All it takes is the first funding or the first grant, right? And then okay, great. We got one.
Yeah.
We got
need
it.
one more,
Yeah.
right? We just need one more. And
all it takes is the first celebrity.
Right.
We was on the phone with Akon the other day.
Yeah. Okay.
FaceTime.
Maybe by the time this goes, right?
You calling him out?
Maybe by the time
Akon, we still waiting on you, big dog.
Let's go.
Pull up. We gotta make this happen. But man, Akon was saying some amazing things. You're like, you guys can make this phenomenal. Like, you guys could take this worldwide. Like, people need to know about this all over, and we could create this community through through apps, and we could so many things that we could do with our story. And we're like, yo, let's do it then, man.
We've never been story centered though, right? Like, even though our story is great, it's not rare. I mean, we are talking with parents and people every day. So the thing is, we've always been so purpose driven in the mission of the organization that we've kind of put Amanda and Legend on the back burner, right? But that's how people connect to the mission. It's humanizing our story and understanding that the people that's something we have to do as
people need to put
the face,
faces to the story,
always
faces to this, right? Exactly. Because people associate with people no matter what, unless you get to be a mass, like Amazon, right?
Exactly.
Or Walmart. But besides that level, it's people associate with people. It's the same thing what we do in our business, the same thing that we, really, I think in most businesses or just organizations, people want to be around people and share their stories and belief systems. So it's so important. But and so now what's on, we only got a few more minutes left, but what's on the horizon, the future? You guys just had the gala. I was there. We had people from my team. Oh, it was amazing. It was great. I had no idea what to expect. It was so much fun. Yeah. Great time. I loved the people I met there. I loved the people that we heard from, the speakers. It was such a good, I loved seeing you guys in your element.
It was good.
It was cool. Yeah. It was, the artwork that was there, I think, Danny from my team, she won one of the silent auctions. I think she won the eyelashes. She was happy about.
Amazing.
So,
shout out to B-Lux.
Okay. Yes. I kept joking. I was like, well, if I get it, what am I going to do with it? but she won. She's like, no, those are mine. I'm like, good. I hope you get it.
It was really fun, actually.
It was good.
And it's always cool to see how those things are going to come together, because we're like, all right, well, we got to find a venue to fit this many people, and let's see what we get. And then we got Casaneos, which is like crazy venue right now. And so like, whoa, how we do that? And then everything always happens like that. Yo, how do we do that? How's that happening?
Like, I'm getting that.
Yeah.
I'm like a master manifester.
Little witchy.
It's a
law of attraction. It works.
It works.
I'm a big
I'm living proof.
Yeah. And it's always fun to see how those things come together. But I think it just aligns with, what we're putting out there. Again, like, we're very transparent.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows that we're just doing this for the good of the people. And then once they see that, things just happen.
So anybody listening to this, if they want to get involved and like, wow, this is speaking to me, I want to help. What's the best way for them to help? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
You can go on our website. There is a volunteer tab. You can put in your information. I will contact you. A lot of our volunteers, though, I will say, I'm going to put this out there and be straightforward. They want to work, like, go with us to the prison. That takes a really long time. Or they want to be in a toy drive and just be there at the present moment. The back end stuff and like what we're doing day to day is what's going to drive the mission and grow this bigger. So there are gaps in the organization that we need help on, and we would love volunteers because we don't have the funding to pay for certain roles, like some social media stuff. If you're a professional life coach and you love to resume build, we're looking for you too.
Okay.
But, someone that can contribute whatever they're naturally good at, and whatever feels comfortable for them, that's what we're looking for. Where we, the volunteer, whatever it could be, 2 hours, 3 hours a week, because there's some things that we need help with, and it takes a village. This is not our organization. We're just the founders because we were brave enough to share our story. This is all of our organizations, all for the people, everyone that's been impacted, everyone that has gone through something in life that has been challenging. They wish they had community. We need community to help us keep going forward. So, but there's a volunteer tab and they can connect with us through there, and we'll we'll
Okay.
fill it out.
Go to the website.
That's if they want to volunteer. If they want to help us financially, you can find a donate tab also
Always.
right there at the top.
Donate's always great.
You know, you got a shirt today. We got more merch that you could buy. We want to make some more merch too. We thought that's like a really cool way to fundraise.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we just kind of like backed off
All
a
the
little
proceeds
bit.
go to the mission.
I was
Absolutely.
looking here. I want to show.
Oh,
show
yeah.
a great shirt.
Boom.
You know, we
High
had
quality.
It is
High quality stuff
right
right there.
here.
Look at the little tag.
And
That's cute stuff.
on the back, 300 letters. We got the butterfly there
Mhm.
and the heart. Yep. Yeah.
All made in,
Right
in
here.
Miami.
That's not no gilding shit. That's
Sourced
the
and
real
made in
thing.
Miami.
Yeah. No, I can feel it. Well,
That's the-
I can feel it. You guys know.
Yeah, we
It's
know.
great stuff.
Yep.
And the motto, yesterday's tragedy, today's triumph, treating incarceration as a family affair. I love it.
Absolutely.
Did you come up with that, Legend?
I did.
All right.
He's so good. He came up
but-
with 300 letters too. We didn't tell you. That was
Yeah.
as many letters we wrote to each other while we
Wow.
were incarcerated.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is that, you know, no one's going to come save us. Like that's been yelling out to me lately, that little phrase that no one's going to come save us. So we have to be the ones to take action if we want to see change in the community, if we want to see any type of change that we want to see. Like, you know, it's not going to get done by anybody else. And that's when we decided to, you know, take action and put our story out there. And the more that we do that, the more that we see things changing. Now we see other organizations treating, you know, incarceration as a family affair, also doing more initiatives that address the family. And it took us to start doing it and to actually make some ripple effects in that. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
We can't do it alone. No one can.
Absolutely. It's a village. It's going to take a lot of people. It's going to take, you know, a nation. It's going to take a movement. And so that's what we're trying to start.
Right. Amazing. And I know you guys will. And I want to help however I can because I'm so inspired from you guys. Not obviously, I've known you guys for a few months. I was at the gala. We've talked a bunch and you guys are going to speak to our interns. So whatever I can personally do, whatever the firm can do to help you guys, I'm all in. You know, you guys are doing it and we need more. We need more,
Yes.
more, more. We really, truly do.
We're so happy we
You know.
we came across each other.
I know. So thank you guys so much for being here. Okay, anybody listening to this, you know how to find them. Also on Instagram, 300 letters.
300 letters.
They're out and about. And I got, as soon as we're done filming, I got a bunch of different ideas that I'm going to write down to see what we
Love
can do.
that.
All right.
Love that.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for having us,
Thank you
Adam.
for having us, brother.
Yeah.